What's up, you guys? All right, today we're going to be focusing on squat and lunge technique, okay? Now, I picked these two specifically because I feel like these were the ones that we're going to cover the biggest spectrum of leg exercises. All right, now I'm going to do it with body weight, but of course, you guys can do them with resistance bands, dumbbells, barbells, whatever it is you have at home, okay? So I'll go over a few things on each exercise. I'll try to be as thorough as possible while still trying to keep the video as short as possible, okay? All right, first one's gonna be a body weight squat. Again, I'm gonna do a body weight, but you guys can do it whether it's with resistance bands. I know I've covered those in some of my videos, and then obviously dumbbells, barbells, or other weight alternatives if you have those available to you, okay? Hell, you could strap a backpack full of water bottles and squat that way, okay? All right, so here's what I wanna focus on with my squat. I'm going to show you from the front, and then I'll show you again from the side because there are going to be a few things that I'm going to want to point out. First one, stance is going to be at or a little bit outside of shoulder width. Okay, this is where you're going to find that you're one, most comfortable, two, most stable, right? Because stability does play a big role, and if you're not balanced, it's going to be hard to focus on your glutes and your quads and your hammies and all that stuff when you're putting all this energy into just staying on your feet. Okay, all right. So right here, toes slightly pointed out. Now, I didn't go out here, right? But I'm not in here either. I want to be a little bit out because as I go down, I want my knees to move slightly outward, okay? I don't want my knees to come forward, or I don't want my knees to come straight forward because then I'm going to take away from engaging my glute, okay? And it's going to go into a little bit more into my IT band, which is muscle that runs through your quad. It's a different story. Okay, so right here, feet slightly pointed outward. Now from here, remember that I want to keep my feet flat on the ground, okay? I don't want to be on my toes. I don't want to be too far on my heels. I want to be heavy in my heels, but it doesn't mean I'm lifting my toes off the ground. I'm still flat-footed on the ground. I want to have my 3 points of contact, my 3 points being the ball of my foot and the heel of my foot. And when I say the ball, I mean the part by your big toe and also the part by your small toe, okay? So we want that whole area to be on the ground, okay? So from there, all I'm going to do, I'm going to stick my butt out, right? You guys have heard me say this a ton of times. I'm going to keep saying it, stick your butt out, and this is going to make me hinge at the hips, okay? That means I want to start moving at my hips before I start moving at my knees, okay? That's going to keep my butt moving back instead of my knees moving forward. And again, I'll show you this from the side too, okay? So from here, I'm going to stick my butt out, push it back. From here, I'm going to go down to my thighs are parallel to the ground. My feet are still flat. My knees are slightly outwards. From here, when I'm getting ready to come back up, I want to make sure that my knees don't buckle in, okay? I want to keep my knees outward, and from here, feet flat on the ground, I'm going to press my heels into the ground, okay? I'm going to come up, hips forward. That's going to be 1. Back down. 2. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I'm not praying, okay? Back down. 3, okay? Again, as we're coming up, you want to make sure that your knees stay in an outward position, okay? That's going to make me engage my glutes, okay? If I find that as I'm coming up, my knees are buckling in, I'm taking away from my glute. It also means that my IT bands are weak, okay? We're not going to focus on how to strengthen your IT bands. What I will say is if you find that happening, try to focus on pressing your knees slightly outward as you come up, okay? And I'll show you from the side. Got my stance in, butt stuck out. That means I'm going to hinge at my hips. From here, I'm going to go straight down, feet flat on the ground, thighs parallel to the ground at the bottom. From here, I'm going to press my heels down, come up, hips forward. 1, okay? Back down, pause. 2, okay? A couple things I want to point out. If I'm going down, remember that I'm not doing what we call the pooping dog. The pooping dog being this one, okay? So as I go down, my chest is up, my eyes are forward, and I'm hinging at my hips right here. And from this position, you can notice that the angle I have here is also equal to the angle I have here, aka I'm not this way, right? Again, down, chest up, eyes forward, thighs parallel to the ground. Press your heels down, knees outward, back up, okay? This is gonna cover our squat. Why do we wanna press our knees out? Again, we're trying to engage our glutes. Why do we wanna press down on our heels? Again, to engage our glutes. Now, what happens if I press down on my toes? if you press down on your toes, a lot of times what you'll find is that you're gonna start to get a nice burn going in your quads, okay? Quads being the front of your thigh. Because when you press your toes down, you're gonna engage a lot more quad than you are glute, okay? So I guess the counter argument could be if you're trying to target your quads, press your toes down instead of pressing your knees down. I'm demonstrating the squat as a glute exercise, which means we're gonna have to put a little bit more weight into your heel instead of your toe, okay? All right, that's gonna cover our squat. Number two, I picked the split squat. I picked the split squat for several reasons. One, this is gonna be a variation of a lunge, so it's gonna cover pretty much our entire spectrum of lunge exercises, whether we're doing an in-place lunge like a split squat, whether we're doing a Hungarian split squat, which is your foot on the chair, whether we're doing a walking lunge, either way, whether we're doing a barbell lunge, whatever it is. Nevertheless, this one is gonna cover the majority of those, okay? All right, so I'll show you from the front, and then again, I'll show you from the side. So from here, hands out in front. Again, it doesn't really matter where you put your hands. I just feel like I'm really comfortable here. If you guys want to put them on your hips, you can do that too. Obviously, if you're going to be holding weight, the weight's going to be down by your sides for the most part, unless you're doing it with the barbell over your shoulders, okay? All right, so here we go. Right here, this is my starting position. I'm going to take a big step back. Watch the balance. Okay. So from here, I want to remember that my front leg is where the work is coming from. That means when I'm in this position, I'm working my front leg. Whichever leg is in front, that's the leg you're working during the lunge, the split squat, okay? Whichever one you're doing. So from here, same thing like we said with the squat, our foot is flat on the ground, okay? I'm not on my toes, nor am I back on my heels. Foot is flat on the ground, okay? I got a nice big stride, and I move this leg back. All I'm going to do with this back leg is balance myself. The back leg is only there for stability. As far as the workout is in the front leg, okay? All right. Hands together. From here, all I'm going to do, chest up, eyes forward, and I'm going to go straight down. Feet flat. I'm going to power through the front leg. This is where the work's coming from. Boom. All the way up to the top. 2, 3, so on and so forth, okay? I feel like this one doesn't show as much from the front. I'll show you from the side because there are a few things I want to point out, okay? So from here, the biggest thing, people take a stride that's too short. So you'll see them do this number, right? Nice short stride. And when they go down for the movement, what will happen is instead of sitting back into their hip, they'll move their knee forward because their stride just isn't long enough, so it'll look something like this. And then they'll say stuff like, oh man, I'm feeling the pressure in my knee. Yeah, you will, okay? And that's also a good marker. If you're doing these lunges and you're feeling a lot of pressure in your knees, it's more than likely, again, assuming you don't have any pre-existing knee conditions, it's more than likely because your stride is too short, okay? So what do? Lengthen your stride. Boom. Now I got a nice long stride, okay? My taller people, you're gonna have to work harder at this because your limbs are just longer, okay? For shorter people, it's usually not as hard to get a big stride just because, again, shorter limbs, all right? Okay, so here we go. Big stride. All right, move back just a little bit. Okay, so from here, front foot flat on the ground, and again, I'm gonna go straight down. From here, power through the front foot. 1, 2, 3, okay? So how do I know I'm doing it right? Because at the bottom, this angle right here is gonna be at about 90 degrees. Now, ideally I want it to be right at 90 degrees, but hey, we don't live in a perfect world. So as long as you're 90-ish, you're gonna be okay, all right? What I don't want is being all the way forward with my knee past my toe, okay? So that's one thing. Another thing I see is people will do this and then they'll lunge forward, okay? So I don't want to go forward. What I want to do is bend both my knees and go straight down. Right here, back up. And if I notice myself going forward like that, it's more than likely because I'm not bending my back leg or my back knee. Okay, so just bend both knees and you should go straight down. so on and so forth, okay? And again, foot flat on the ground. I should be feeling it both in my glute and in my quads with this one, okay? All right, cool. Those are the two I'm going to cover. This should cover a pretty big spectrum of leg exercises. I'll add more as the days and the weeks go on, but I feel like this is going to be a really good foundation video for some of our big leg movements, okay? Let me know if you guys have questions.